Any coffee pro will quickly tell you that the biggest upgrade someone can make is investing in a good burr grinder. Why? Because at even the most basic level, good coffee is fresh coffee, and that means using fresh coffee beans. That's why in this video, I'll run you down through the top 3 best coffee grinders and their key features, listing important aspects that might suit your different types of needs. You'll find links to all of the products mentioned in the video in the description below, but let's go ahead and get started. And starting off our list is the OXO Brew Conical Burr. This is one of those coffee grinder machines that you can't really go wrong with, and especially if you're looking for something that doesn't cost as much, but still delivers pretty good results. It has 45 settings, and while it's not ideal for espresso, it offers more than enough for pour over, cold brew, French press, or any other brewing method you can think of. And for a grinder that costs less than $100, it offers impressive quality and consistency in its grind, which was on par with the much pricier OXO that comes with an integrated scale. Instead of the scale though, with the budget OXO you get time dosing, and in this case it's a dial adjustment and not a digital display with seconds. Who this grinder isn't for though is the espresso drinker. While it has fine grind settings, which is necessary for espresso and Turkish coffee, the OXO struggles to produce entirely uniform grounds on the medium fine settings, and at the finest it's still fairly uneven. The timer is also not the easiest to use, and this is largely because it doesn't offer a digital readout, which makes it feel quite imprecise. Yes, you do have to forego some higher end features, but you can't do better for under 100 bucks, this machine quotes. And these are usually the compromises you make to get a price this low. But if you overall never had a burr grinder and want to see what all the fuss is about without breaking the bank, this is a safe machine to start with. And at number 2 is the Fellow Opus Conical Burr. The Fellow Opus grinder is one of the few coffee grinder machines that completely bridges the gap by offering consistent results in making filter coffee and espresso, but also not demanding thousands of dollars like most machines. And the problem with most coffee grinders is that they tend to do either espresso or filter really well, but not both, at least not until you're willing to spend a couple of grand on a grinder. But now with the Opus, Fellow has created a true entry-level single dosing grinder. It's a very low retention grinder with a straight drop design from the burrs down into the catch bin, making for this very minimal retention. The grinder has 41 steps of adjustment ranging from cold brew to espresso, offering various brewing methods you could think of. And probably the nicest touch Fellow added to this coffee grinder is the anti-static technology similar to what is found in hair dryers, which prevents beans from getting stuck into almost everything, a feature that significantly reduces mess during the grinding process. Now, there is a limited range of adjustment for espresso, with only 4 steps dedicated to espresso grinding, and this could be an issue for espresso enthusiasts who are looking for more wiggle room and more precision. However, Fellow did include a hidden micro adjustment feature that allows for finer control, making it easier to dial in espresso shots, and this makes it fully flexible to pull off any espresso that you want on a true 9-bar machine. One downside about this macro micro adjustment setup though is that it's pretty confusing until you get the knack of it, but that's just a factor of the low price and the amount of range they're trying to cram into this grinder. But the overall value you get from the Opus is very high, and the noise level on this grinder is also incredibly low. It's even at a much lower price than the Ode and a much lower price than a lot of highly recommended coffee grinders out there. Much of the difference in cost between the Ode and the Opus is also down to the materials. And while it's not perfect, especially with the somewhat confusing macro-micro adjustment system, the compromises Fellow made are reasonable given the price point. And taking our top spot is the Baratza Encore Burr Grinder. For $200 required for this machine, you're gonna need to choose between the quality of a coffee grinder's build, its casing, its burrs, its motor with overall features, and the Baratza Encore ESP falls firmly into this category. It comes with Baratza's M2 conical burrs, which is a step up from the brand's entry-level M3 that came with the original Baratza Encore. That nicer burr, combined with the ability to do 20 micro adjustments on the fine end of the grind spectrum, gives the ESP the ability to grind finer, which is very handy when you're trying to dial an espresso shot. And with that, it produces a wonderfully even grind across all the settings we tested with incredibly low grind retention. It also comes with a convenient dosing cup that transfers ground coffee cleanly into either a 54mm portafilter or a professional 58-1. So whether you have a more entry-level espresso machine or high-end one, you can pair this grinder with it. The Encore is also easily cleanable and repairable. No tools are required to remove the hopper or outer ring of the burr grinder, and replacement parts are as well easy to obtain. Now, the controls here are very basic. There is neither a scale nor a timer to measure your coffee dose, and the options are either an on or off switch on the side of the machine that runs until it's flipped off, or a button on the center that grinds when you hold it down and stops when you let go. The former is still very useful for grinding large amounts of coffee though, and the latter for topping it off to get just the right amount. And while we'd prefer some sort of automatic dosing, it's not a deal breaker here. The grind retention is so low that you can just measure a single dose the way you have to with the fellow grinders, flip the on switch, and run it until it's empty. The Encore has a bigger, beefier cousin, the Baratza Vario W+, but for most people, the Encore is a much better pick. The Vario W does include a scale and it has flat burrs, but at over $500, it doesn't do much to justify that price. But of course, it's better than this. Again, you'll find links to all of the grinders mentioned in the video in the description below, but that pretty much wraps up our review on the top 3 coffee grinders this year. Whether you're just getting into home brewing or you're looking to upgrade your setup, these models will bring an impressive combination of features at an entry-level price. If this video helped you out, don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe to stay updated with all things coffee. And as always, if you've got any questions or want to see more content like this, let me know down in the comments below. But until next time, enjoy your brew and keep experimenting. Cheers!